Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do a quick video review of the Perception 10.0 Kayak. Fabulous kayak, pedal drive. Really happy with this unit. I thought I would do a quick video review so that you could get an idea of why I chose this kayak and why you might want to choose this kayak. I'll go through all of the features and how it works, and then talk a little bit about the things that I believe that I will end up fixing in order to be satisfied. A quick review of what I was looking for in a kayak when I purchased this. I wanted something that was easy to load, something that would fit in the back of my truck, and that I could get out on the water with quickly. I'm interested in a fishing kayak, but I also wanted to have a pedal drive. Most of the pedal drives that were available in the fishing kayak scenario were at least 12 feet and were over 100 pounds. This is well under 100 pounds. It's 85, 87 it's on a Perception Kayak's website. You can look it up. But it is definitely 10 feet, so it fits easily in the back of my pickup truck. I don't have to put it up on top of anything to transport it. So it's really quick and easy to get it loaded up and ready to go fishing. So let me say, based on the idea of what I was after, this fits the bill perfectly. It is one of the most inexpensive kayaks that has a pedal drive on the market. I really, really like it. I like this pedal drive. I like the fact that it was inexpensive, but most of my dissatisfaction comes from the features that are missing because Perception does not consider this to be a fishing kayak. That being said, all of the stuff that I find deficient I can easily fix, which was my plan all along and why I chose this particular kayak. Inexpensive and easy to modify. Okay, let's start at the bow and discuss some of the features that are in this particular unit. So it has a bolt-on handle. I prefer a molded in handle, but this is because of the angle of the bolts, it's not going to come out. It is stiff and durable. I believe that will hold up just fine. Perfectly satisfied with that handle. The front bow storage section here is a little on the smaller side. What did you expect? It's a 10-foot kayak. This is perfectly expectable. I also checked with Perception. They said no issues with me cutting out that logo and putting in a bow access hatch, which I will do at some point. It's got the standard bungee cords that you can bungee down items for storage and to keep it from flying out when you capsize. This is actually not a scupper hole. This is a hole for your fish finder. There is a spot underneath there for the transducer. Nice little feature. I plan on putting a fish finder in at some point in the near future. The next thing that I did on this particular kayak was I installed my own gear track. Now, one of the frustrations I have is that there wasn't a slot here for the gear track. So their 12-foot model has a slot here that includes gear track in it. And I understand you're trying to keep the cost low on this unit because it's not considered a fishing kayak. It's considered a recreational kayak. So I don't think it would be any additional cost if they put in a slot here to take the gear track that they sell at Perceptions. But obviously, I was able to come up with my own gear track solution and put that on there. So relatively happy with that unit, but it would have been nice if there were slots in here to be able to mount the gear track. Okay, let's talk about the seat a little bit. It's a standard kayak seat. It folds down for transit. It has adjustable back tension. You can move it back and forth. You can adjust how tight the back is. The seat is comfortable. I've kayaked in it for many, many hours and perfectly happy with the comfort and usability of the seat. But this is the one area where I'm most disappointed with this particular kayak. Now, I'm sure it was designed so that, 5 or 6 people could kayak on this over the period of 2 hours, at your local lake or venue. But for adjustability, it leaves a bit to be desired. So generally speaking, I wanted to be able to raise the seat, and the way that it's constructed, I'm finding it really difficult to come up with a nice, easy, elegant solution that would allow me to adjust the seat height quickly and easily. I'll figure something out, but this is one of the things that I'm least satisfied with. The way that the unit is put in place, there's a 1/4-20 bolt here that bolts it into each one of these inserts, so you can put it wherever you want it and bolt it back down. What I find is that the number of turns on this unit to get it solid again is inordinate. You only need about 3 turns to be solid, but it's 7 or 8. So it's a little frustrating to screw it in and unscrew it in order to be able to move your seat. So I find that to be a little bit off-putting, but again, this is the least expensive pedal kayak on the market. So I didn't expect a whole lot more than that. It's just I'm finding it difficult to modify it the way I wanted. So and that's part of the reason why I didn't buy a really expensive kayak, because I don't like the way people build stuff. So I tend to modify it anyway. So I might as well buy the cheap thing and modify it to my desires, and as opposed to spending a whole lot of money and then modifying it. So to be expected. I just didn't expect how laborious that was to be able to move it. So probably my least favorite part of it. I also found the steering handle to be a little annoying. It is a this ball part is not normally on here. It's just a little piece of plastic that you have to grab a hold of and turn around. I found it a little bit difficult to move and turn, and part of that may be some lube issues that I'm working on. But I decided that I would put on actually it's a ram ball that I put on there. Just clamp 2 pieces of plastic on the unit that was already there and put a ball on it. That helps. It gives us a little bit more leverage. Easy to modify if you're not happy with the way that the turning mechanism works. Okay, let's take a quick look at the stern. It has an integrated paddle connector, so there's a indentation in the hull itself here that allows you to put a paddle on there and bungee it in. My outrigger setup is actually took the spot where this bungee would normally connect, so I had to add another hook on there. But nice little integrated feature to hold your paddle. You should have a paddle even if it's a pedal drive, because it's possible you could have some mechanical failure, so you should always have a paddle with you. Relatively comfortable space in the back here. Surprisingly enough, a standard oblong milk crate will fit in there relatively comfortably. That part works well. Scupper holes, standard kayak stuff. I obviously added the rod holders, because another frustrating feature of this unit is that it doesn't come with any indentations for rod holders. You can either cut some holes in it and put in integrated rod holders, or you can do an add-on rod holders, which for resale value, I thought it'd just be easier to incorporate those into my outrigger setup. So those are where my rod holders are. There is a hull access panel in the back here, and that's basically to do any kind of maintenance you might need to do on your rudder control, your rudder system. Again, that same bolt-on handle in the back, it's off-centered, which is a little bit frustrating, but perfectly adequate. The steering system, I saw a video where a gentleman added washers to his because he thought they were a little bit too wobbly and loose. I concur. I did the same thing. One of the things that I have found is that if you try to steer the unit while the rudder is in its lockdown position, you tend to loosen up the cables. And so I find that even with prolonged use, that these cables will loosen up on their own. Doesn't matter how much you tighten them down. So probably reevaluate that little detail right there as well. I'll make some sort of changes so that doesn't happen. Likely we'll change this out to coated cable as well, instead of the cord that's in there. But overall, it's perfectly acceptable. 90% of the human population would be happy with the way this unit steers. The rudder locks down with a bungee cord and flops down. There is cords that allow you to up and down the rudder from here next to your seat. I've never used that. I find it to be horrific. It's difficult to pull those guys up and down. And again, it's something that I thought I would look at and possibly correct using putting something off the back of the rudder here to give it a little bit more leverage in order to lift that. I haven't really looked at it because typically what I do is I get the boat in the water and I unhook it and I do that, and then I go fishing. But at some point that might be a feature that I might want to do, so we'll have to look at that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the pedal drive. I'm relatively satisfied with the pedal drive Because it was an inexpensive kayak, I expected it to be a simplistic design, and it is. I like that, particularly if you're somebody who likes to modify things like I do. It's a nice feature to have it as simple as it is. It's simply a clamp with a pivot section with a pin through it, so it hinges up through using this pin, and what holds it in place is that pin. So in order to bring the kayak up, or bring the unit up and out of the way, you simply line up your rudder in the back, and then you lift it up, and the unit comes up inside the integrated section for the pedal drive. That's really simple. I like the design. I like the fact that it's simple. It's bolted on in several places, integrated into the unit. If I wanted to swap this out for, let's say, a trolling motor, simple to do. I just exchange this clamp for one that fits the shaft of the trolling motor, and it could go in the exact same spot. Perfect. So really nice, simple design, easy to modify, which appeals to me. The one thing that I have found to be frustrating about this particular unit, which you don't see in the 12-foot version, is that you'll notice that the prop comes up underneath the area that is covered. Okay, well, one of the drawbacks of a pedal drive is that weeds often get wrapped around into the shaft of the prop, and you want to be able to clean it. And part of the nice things about being able to flop the unit up like this is so that you can clean it. In this particular case, I find that I have to get down on my hands and knees and reach back in there to get it cleaned out, and there's almost always water in this section. So you're getting wet and annoyed trying to get the weeds off of the unit. That's probably my least favorite thing about this particular pedal drive. The other issue with this unit is that if you have an impact with a stump, a rock, something of that nature, the design that they've come up with doesn't really do a good job of mitigating that disaster. So what will likely happen, I haven't done it yet, I don't know what will happen, but based on what I see in the design, my expectation is that a couple of things could happen. Either this pin will bend, which we've seen some, if you've watched YouTube videos on the Crank 10, you've seen other people who've had a bent pin here. This shaft could bend, which would be really bad. Or these plastic pieces here would crack and break. For me, for my money, that's the obvious thing that I'd like to see happen, is these plastic clips would break. And because they'd be easy to replace and no serious real damage would be done. If the shaft was bent, that would be really bad. But in either case, it looks to me as if the expectation is that the unit will break in some way if you hit something really hard, really fast. So that's less appealing, but again, less expensive kayak, that's kind of what you should expect if that's what you're purchasing, an inexpensive kayak. There's going to be some things that haven't been completely worked out in the design. Now initially this plate that the pin holds the unit up with was a lot smaller, and it looked like the whole unit could potentially flex and the drive could get past it for a short distance, and that might save the overall health of the unit. But I'm guessing that didn't function the way they had initially intended, because I see this plate's a lot longer and moves out past where the pin is. Now it may be that the expectation is that you should move this pin back so it barely captures that. I haven't seen any videos that describe that from perception. That's how they expect it to work. But even so, this plastic unit is already pushed back a good long ways. So I have seen people say that you should move these forward so it's tighter in there and it's quieter. I have not found it to be a loud unit at all. Very happy with the functionality. My only concern is that impact mitigation has not really been worked out in this particular design. Hi, let's summarize the stuff that I talked about. I'll go over the things that I found to be a little bit frustrating, and then I'll give you my overall impression of the unit. So the things that we talked about that frustrated me was the impact mitigation of the pedal drive. It's a very simplistic design, but lacking impact mitigation. The prop, when it comes up underneath the unit, it's difficult to clear weeds. That can be frustrating. The indentations for gear track, it would be really cool, and I don't think any more expensive to be able to put that indentation here in the rail. That'd be nice, so somebody could purchase the rail and put it in later. The missing rod holders, both of the indentations and the rod holders, will not affect a person's ability to have fun on a recreational kayak, so why not just put them in? So it'd be nice if those were in there. The seat. My inability to come up with an easy way to modify that is frustrating to me, but it's likely not frustrating to most people. The rudder up and down mechanism it's not well designed, but it's actually very common in most of the rudder up downs that you see, that they're difficult to up and down using the cables. And again, you saw how I dealt with it. So not a big issue. So overall, when you consider the price point and the ease of your ability to modify this particular unit, even in its base scenario, it's really a nice kayak. It's rotor molded, it's very durable, it's a quality product all the way through. I'm amazed at the type of detail that Perception put into the kayak. They really are a quality product, and as this is one of the cheapest pedal drives on the market, I absolutely recommend this unit. I think that most people would be thrilled with this particular product. I doubt anybody would be frustrated with their purchase. I highly recommend it. It's really is a great product.